上念司チャンネルニュースの虎側ガオー、はい、始まりました。本日のゲストは元インド陸軍中将のシャンカルさんです。よろしくお願いしますすいません、最初だけちょっと日本語で説明をさせていただくんですが、今日ですね、すいません、これ途中からね全部英語になってしまうんですね。なので皆さんよかったら字幕をですね使っていただければと思うんですね。はい。基本的に英語のやり取りになるので、歯車メニューのところからですね、字幕機能ね、イングリッシュ、ジャパニーズサブタイトルとか多分書いてあると思うんですけど、そちらをオンにしてご覧ください。で、うちのスタッフにですね、翻訳をオンにするようにお願いして、あるんですけれども、多分うまくいってると思うんですが、なんせね、初めてでもないですけど、前にも英語のコンテンツやりましたけど、ちょっとうまくいってない場合もありますので、重要なポイントはですね、流れ的に可能なら日本語で説明するかもしれないですけど、基本的に全部英語で言ってしまいますので、すいません、よろしくお願いします。それで、じゃあ早速ですが、シャンカルさんに、ここから全部英語になりますので、すいません、よろしくお願いします。So, Mr. Shankar, thank you to coming to my show.
Oh, thanks a lot, Jonan San, for having invited me.
Thank you.
And I wish everyone who's watching the show in Japan a very good morning. And as they say in Japanese, Ohayo gozaimasu.
Ohayo gozaimasu. Thank you. I read about your article on GG Press. That was surprising. You know, Chinese military is not so strong as they look. And I send you some question about this article. So could you please start with the question? Is the Chinese military stronger than in the past?
Oh, well, let me put it in perspective.
Okay.
The Chinese military is a very big military.
Yes.
And it is a strong military. And we should not underestimate them. That's the first thing I must say.
Okay. We should not underestimate. Okay.
Yeah. At the same time, we should not overestimate them also.
I think so.
Okay?
Yes.
Now, when you look at the Chinese military,
yes,
in the past, when I say in the past, in the times of the last century under Mao Zedong and thereafter, you see that the military was very motivated and they were very tough people.
Yes.
It was largely a peasant army. It was not very well equipped, you know, but they were fired up with communism and they were prepared to take casualties. Casualties did not matter to them. It doesn't matter how many people died or how many people got wounded. And one thing one was sure of was, what can you expect from the People's Liberation Army of the old? And what would be the outcomes? Generally, one could, predict.
Yeah.
But in today's army, I feel, and this is also borne out by other facts, that the army is not well motivated. It's very well equipped. Okay. A lot of modern equipment and a lot of effort on cyber and AI and all that.
Yes.
It has got tremendous modern weapon systems. And but it's got made forays into space. It's got missiles and all that. But the problem is it doesn't have experience.
That's right. They never had experienced the war after 70s, I think.
Yeah, it is after the last campaign against Vietnam in 1979. They have not fought a war.
Yes.
And we also have to understand that from the 80s, China has had a single child policy. As a result, all soldiers in the Chinese army are all single child. So whether they are prepared to die and whether the parents will accept casualties in the nation is a question mark.
That's right. That's right.
So whether China will accept casualties in a war and be able to withstand this sacrifice is a big question mark, because on ground what we have experienced is they might not.
They love their families, right? So they don't want their family to be vanished from this earth. That's why they don't want casualties. So they cannot go into the war, maybe.
Correct. You see, every child in every person in China is a single child. Now, if he dies, what will happen to the parents? What will happen to the grandparents?
That's right.
They're all single child.
That's right.
I mean, I don't know if you ever realized that China is a country which does not have brothers or sisters. They're all single child. Since that child does not know no brothers, no sisters. So who'll take care of the parents if he dies?
Oh, that's right. But how come they are such aggressive attitude against around the country around China? Under this kind of single child situation. Why?
Look, that's a very logical question. Why is China so aggressive militarily?
Yeah.
China has a history of being aggressive. If you go back into the 50s, they were aggressive against the Americans in North Korea, in Korea at that time, during the Korean War 50s. Then against India, they were aggressive. Also against Vietnam in 1979, they were aggressive. Right?
Right now, to Japan too, right now, in Senkaku Island.
Yeah, and Senkaku also, they were aggressive, that's right.
Yeah.
And you see that aggressive behavior has now turned into a belligerent behavior. Okay, and that has continued, and that with the fact that there's a lot of effort on the part of the Chinese leaders to equip the army well, and also, stoke up nationalism in the country. So what Xi Jinping has been doing. So you find that the PLA is quite belligerent now. They're belligerent against the Senkakus. They're belligerent against Taiwan.
Yes.
They're belligerent against Philippines.
Yes.
At present. It is going on. Their boats are clashing and water cannons being fired at each other.
Yes.
And they are also belligerent against India.
Yes.
And they've shown this, in the South China Sea. They've shown it in Eastern Ladakh against India, and they're showing against Taiwan and against in the Diaoyu and Senkaku Islands. Diaoyu is what they call, Senkaku is what it is. So that is why you'll find that there's a lot of belligerence. But my view is all this belligerence is lot of vocal effort. It is not borne by solid thing that, they threaten people. But it's a matter of doubt whether they will be able to carry through what they are talking.
Okay.
That's where I have doubts about the PLA.
Okay. So are they going to escalate this kind of situation? For instance, for India or Philippines or Taiwan or Japan?
I see. If you look at the evidence so far. They might not. Okay? What happened against... you have to see historical examples again.
Okay.
See, when they came and were aggressive in Eastern Ladakh, the moment we confronted them, and the moment we did another operation there in Eastern Ladakh, which we did it in a place called the Kailash Range, where we outmaneuvered the Chinese, they went back.
Okay.
And they went back 9 kilometers. Incidentally, this is something which not many people know. Everyone talks of Galwan and that we lost 20 people. They would have lost about 40 to 50 people. And then at the end in August, September 2020, they had to, wherever they came, they went back 9 kilometers. We forced them to go back 9 kilometers.
So
okay, now you, yeah.
So so Chinese is gonna come, for instance, like East Ladakh, Indian army fight back very hard, then they have to go back to 9 kilometers. Then they become silent for a while. Then afterwards they forget this kind of thing. Then they're gonna come again, maybe someday. But you're gonna react very hard again. Then you push it back, and this is back and forth kind of movement. In the history.
I agree with you. Only thing is, after that, they did try to come back once or twice. and we gave them a nice beating in one place last year. Okay, after that, they have not tried it. Next time they come, we're going to beat them harder. That's the first thing.
Okay.
And the second thing which I want to put across, when you ask this question, what will they do and how will they behave? You see their behavior in the Middle East and North Arabian Sea. As you know, China has a base at a place called Djibouti.
That's right.
In the Horn of Africa.
Yes.
And for the past 2 years, they have been deployed there. And they've been deployed there to ensure that they can participate in anti-piracy operations internationally. Okay. But in the recent past, if you see in Red Sea and North Arabian Sea, you find that the US Navy and the UK Navy, they are fighting the Houthis.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, and the Indian Navy is fighting the pirates.
Yeah, I read the recently you revelate the hostage in the Indian Sea. I read that news before 2 weeks ago or something like that.
Correct. So we have been active. 9 to 12 of our ships are deployed there actively and fighting piracy. China has gone there to fight piracy and gain experience as per Xi Jinping. But they have not been fighting. They have been sitting inside Djibouti. Okay. So that is what it makes me. You see, I'm talking. See, in the recent past, what they have done in Eastern Ladakh, what is happening now in the North Arabian Sea. You see that the Chinese probably are worried and that they don't have the capability of going through these operations. So that is why there's a question mark. Now, I will go back in history because we have to understand the longer history. In 2004, there was a tsunami. There was a famous tsunami, if you remember at that time, it was the American Navy which was active in disaster management and relief efforts. It was the Indian Navy also which came forth. Though India was affected by the tsunami quite badly, we came forth, and it was only Indian Navy and the American Navy, US Navy, which was doing disaster management and relief in the entire Western Pacific and Indian Ocean region. The Chinese Navy never left their port.
Because they have less capability than we thought, maybe.
Yes. So if you see the history in the recent past, it doesn't seem as if they are a fully capable army or they have the capability to do everything. Even when they have the opportunity to carry out anti-piracy operations, they are not doing it. So that their experience is very weak.
So that's a significant evidence about the Chinese Navy capability is less than we think.
Yes.
And also you talked about the army capability is not so strong as we look, right?
Yes. Yes.
So what's the evidence about that?
Now again, the evidence is that, you have to view it a little holistically. The first thing is the China as a whole has a conscript method of getting people into their army. They serve only for 2 years and then they go out. So at every given point of time, 50% of the PLA, whether the Navy or the Army or the Air Force, they're all new. And there's a constant change.
Rotation.
Rotation is quite fast. And then they're inducting new equipment at a very fast rate. A lot of new equipment. And it is not, and new equipment is modern. And that modern equipment has to be handled by experienced people. You can't have new people always handling new equipment.
That's right.
Okay? You see, very simple for everyone to understand. If you wear a new shoe, it will pinch you, isn't it? right? Similarly, anything new, even a new car has to do running in. So any new equipment takes time to settle down in an army and to be utilized.
Yes.
And that too being handled by new people, new soldiers, that equipment will not function well.
So they need training a lot more.
Yeah, a lot more. And the third point is that they don't have good leadership. If you've seen in the recent past, a lot of their generals have been sacked. A lot of their defense ministers have been sacked by Xi Jinping. There are reports which are coming out that they don't have enough pilots. There are reports which are coming out that they don't have naval captains. So the middle level leadership is weak, is not there, as per reports coming out from sources like PLA Daily and all that. The generals are getting sacked and the defense ministers are getting sacked by Xi Jinping. If this is the case of the leadership, you have poor leadership, you are weak leadership, you have new people and new equipment. How will they fight? Okay. The next thing is, they are always into new roles.
New rules every time.
Every time there's a new role which the PLA has to do. At times they have to defend China. At times Xi Jinping talks of conquering the entire South China Sea and Taiwan and all that.
That's
and
right.
then he talks of domination, global domination to build the biggest military. So these are all new things. You don't overnight get to do this operations. It takes time to get into new roles.
Yes, I think so.
What is the part you play in the overall strategic sphere? It takes time. Right?
That's right.
Then they have new organizations. Every 2-3 months you see a new organization coming up.
That's too much.
This is the fact.
This is a problem. They need to
problem.
get used to this kind of new rules, and they need to take some time to train their soldiers. But they have no time to do that.
They've not been able to do that. So as a result, holistically, if you see, I don't think they are a very strong army. They're not fully professional, the way I look at it. The way the US Army is professional, or the Indian Army is professional, or for that matter, even the Pakistani Army is very professional.
Also, Japanese Army is professional too.
Japanese Army is very professional. I've dealt with Japanese people, armed forces people, but not the Chinese Army. So that is why I have questions about how strong the army is.
That's right. So the point is they have poor leadership and also less training time. And also they have single child. That's why casualty is very fearful thing for the people of China. And also the new weapons and new strategy is always coming up and no time to update all the things.
Right, so
okay, that's very simple. The military is not functioning very well, I think. Isn't it true?
Yeah, it's not.
It's not. Okay, but we should not underestimate them, right? They have a very powerful weapons and a lot of cannons and airplanes and tanks and stuff. Like Russian army, maybe. Russian army is not has not good leadership or not good operation, and they they always getting a lot of casualties every day. Maybe Chinese army is gonna be like that. What they cannot endure this kind of very hard time because of the single child problem, maybe. So, what do you think? What's gonna happen if they try to attack Taiwan or Philippines or something? Maybe India or something.
Look, my guess is, let's take the Russian example. Russia had a lot of good equipment, a lot of missiles, their tanks, guns, and aircraft, and all that. Now it has been 2 years since they're fighting in Ukraine, and they have not been able to, achieve victory out there.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, and the Russian army is far more experienced than the Chinese army. Okay, they have carried out operations earlier regularly, and they have fought in Syria. They have operated in Crimea, and they Georgia. So they have done a lot of operations.
They have much experience than PLA.
Much
That's
more
right.
experience
That's the truth.
than the PLA.
Yes.
And still, they have had a problem. Now, if China comes against India, this time they have to face a very experienced army which is expecting them because they are fully prepared now. So it will not be easy, right?
Yes.
It will not be easy for PLA at all against India.
Yes.
And that is why for the past 1 year they have quietened down. Earlier they were very aggressive, now they are quiet. Okay.
Which means
now.
Yes.
Yeah, tell me. Please.
Which means they get into big trouble compared to Russian trouble right now. Maybe much bigger trouble, right?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
With India, they will be in big trouble if they try anything with us. That we are very clear. We'll give them very big trouble. And right, that is the first thing. Now against Taiwan, you see, you must understand, Taiwan is separated by around 150 to 200 kilometers of sea.
Yes.
Okay, and the last major amphibious operation of this nature was done in the last century during the Normandy landings by the Allies against, in France, Normandy landings.
Yes.
After that, no one has done it, and it is quite a complicated operation, right? It needs lot of coordination. It needs a lot of training. It needs a lot of experience, and China doesn't have all that, right?
Yes.
And so, will China be able to carry out such a coordinated and extensive and a complicated operation against Taiwan? I have my doubts.
Yeah, according to such a poor leadership, poor operation capability, and the soldiers has no time to train and stuff, it's going to be a big trouble for China to do this kind of thing, I think.
Yeah. And also, if you analyze their capabilities at this point of time, China does not have the capability to carry out a full amphibious operation. They don't have the helicopters to do so. They don't have the shipping to do so. They have a lot of missing links in their logistics chain. Okay. So, I don't visualize them carrying out any operation militarily against Taiwan in the near future. How this will change in the future, we'll see how it goes. Right? But at this point, I don't think. Even against Philippines, they might do something. But their problem is, if in Philippines, USA comes into battle, what happens?
They got into big trouble too, I think.
Yeah. So for that matter, you take the Chinese predicament. If China tries to do anything against South Korea, Japan, Philippines, or Taiwan, what happens if they pull USA into the battle?
So
the first thing is, if China wants to be aggressive against Japan, Taiwan, South Korea, or Philippines, it has to keep USA out of the battle. How can it do that? That is the bigger question. It is not, for me, the question is not can it invade Taiwan. It might be able to invade Taiwan. But can it keep USA out of the battle?
Maybe USA is going to come to help us.
Look.
Up to Trump maybe, but right now we have treaty.
You have a pact with them. See, the point is this. If you actually analyze, I've analyzed this whole thing. Whether China goes to battle against Philippines or Taiwan or Japan, the other countries will also get involved. If it goes against Philippines, virtually it will have to go against battle in Taiwan also. If it goes into Taiwan, it will pull in Japan. Japan will get involved because your island, Yonoguni, is just 200 kilometers away.
Yes, very close to Taiwan.
Okay.
That's right.
Right. So that you will get involved. And then Philippines also will get involved. So if any action by China today in the South China Sea or the East China Sea means it will have to fight 2 or 3 countries.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So which means China's getting into very big trouble too.
Yeah, China will itself get into a big trouble. Also, you have to understand that, if suppose it carries out a naval blockade of Taiwan, all international shipping will go away from here. Then who will get affected economically?
China itself. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Which will be the ports which will get affected most if there's a naval blockade of that area?
That's
because
like
of Chinese
self-blockade.
It will be Shenzhen and Shanghai, isn't it? So if Shenzhen and Shanghai close down or are affected, where will China's economy go?
Yes, that's right. China's economy is going down,
Going down, yeah.
jumping from the cliff kind of situation.
Yeah, as it is, they are in a bad shape. It will go down even worse.
So they are getting into very big trouble again and again for that kind of, very this kind of invasion against China. I mean Taiwan or like Philippines or even Japan maybe, which costs a lot for China.
Yes.
Okay. So what we have to do, for invading this kind of situation, make Xi Jinping to not do this kind of, invasion against our allies. I mean, what we can do.
Yeah. See, there are a lot of things which we can all do. First and foremost, you have to upgrade your own defensive systems. Okay, we have all countries have to now invest in their own militaries and make them stronger. That's the first point.
Okay.
The second thing is all countries should start cooperation with each other. Okay. Now the Chinese are worried about one thing. I mean, I'm now talking what the Chinese have written. I'm telling you that. As per the Chinese theory, they face 4 fronts. They face a front in Japan, they face a front against Taiwan, and they face a front in South China Sea. And they face a 4th front against India. This is what the Chinese feel. Also, as per the Chinese, they fear something called chain reaction warfare. So their concept of chain reaction warfare is, if they get into a fight with one country, it is possible that they might have to get into a fight with other countries.
At least 4, you mean?
If not 4, at least 2.
At least 2.
Okay. At least 2 or 3. And they want to avoid that. Okay. So at any given point, if all countries which are affected by China get together and have common understanding, have military cooperation, have economic cooperation,
so
then China will start thinking, something else.
So like the organization called Quad, Japan, India, America, and Australia is very important. Also TPP, the economic alliance, be very important for us and India too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So look, for Quad, we are very much for the Quad. We are part of the Quad. Japan, India, Australia, and USA is part of the Quad. As far as the TPP is concerned, India is not part of it. We are not part of the Trans-Pacific relationship because it's not there as it. Okay. But what we need to do more is, like, we are cooperating with Philippines. We are cooperating with Japan. We are cooperating with Indonesia. We are cooperating with Australia. So apart from having mechanisms like Quad, we need to have bilaterals with all the countries. We have good relations with Vietnam.
Like a NATO in the Indian Pacific area, maybe.
I wouldn't call it NATO, but we have to have an overarching thing like the Quad, plus a lot of cooperation with all the countries. We should have increased defense cooperation. We should have increased training, common training. Then it will contain China.
Okay, so you mean not only bilateral, maybe multilateral relationship between these countries in the military area or like economic area, and also maybe Coast Guard area, maybe. Everything has to be cooperated.
Everything.
Okay.
We need good diplomatic cooperation also.
Okay. Thank you very much, General Shankar. Very attractive. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. An honor to be on your show, Jonen.
Okay. Maybe you come over this show again, maybe. I expected that.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
はい。ということで、シャンカル、元中将のお話を、お聞きいただきました。ちょっとすいません。英語がちょっとね、聞き取りにくい部分もあったかもしれませんが、字幕一応つくようにはしますし、あとね、八重洲イブニングラボの方に入っていただければ、ここの、お話のね、私後で見てちゃんとメモ取りますので、それの、要約などもですね、アップさせていただきたいと思いますので、ぜひね、下の URL からご登録いただければと思います。ということで、General Shankar, thank you very much for today.Thank you.
Welcome, many days.
はい。ということで、今日の内容面白かったら、ぜひ高評価のボタン、チャンネル登録、さらにコメント欄に感想など書いていただきまして、内容気に入ったら、共有ボタンで拡散の方お願いします。ガオー